I wish they would pan over and be like two guys like, yeah, and that's when I said, well, I'll take the kids today. You've been working too hard. It's just first to destroy the fortress wins.
Yeah. And I guess he found them.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Stoneface Reactions. I'm Theta, this is Lessons, and we are back with episode 9 of Gundam Wing. We come back to you with notes, we come back to you with comments, but we also come back to you with a board. So as we always do, let's go ahead and start off with the board. And with the board comes the board changelog. You know, unless Lessons has something he wants to say ahead of time.
Nope.
Alright. I marked General Septim as dead. I added Field Marshal Noventa. I marked Field Marshal Noventa as dead. I added General Venti. I added General Venti. Marked General Venti as dead. Yeah, Venti, sorry. Connected Noventa and Venti to Hero with a red line, because, you know, he killed them both. Connected the Earth Sphere Alliance commanders together with a green line. For what it's worth. Connected to Septim to Lady Un with a red line. Connected the unaligned Gundam duos together with a green line, and then Wu Fei with a white line. Changed the white line between Sally Poe and Hero to green. Added Brigadier General Diego, then connected him with a red line to Zex and Darlian. Then marked him dead. And then connected Lady Un and Trace to Wu Fei with a red line.
Yeah, makes sense. All of those. I'm just saying that there's a comment I wrote down, and then I see these names like Noventa and Venti, and I'm like, oh no, this is just too much, too on the nose for me, or something that was just a random comment that I brought up briefly in the show, but then it came back when I saw it again. I was like, yeah, this is the thing. Apparently.
So I'm just looking at a guy that I think I should have probably named by now, but now I don't remember if I'm just remembering his name or if he was actually named. Anyway, any other comments about the board?
Well, I mean, I think I made a mistake. I thought there were 3 top officers
There are.
of the Alliance. No, but 3 that left in one plane, and then Septim left in the other.
Yeah, no, I had a whole note where I thought that Venti was still alive because I thought he went to a different. Shuttle, and it turns out, yeah, that's why I had the whole note, and I kept revising the note, and then we go to the actual moment where Hero kills him, and I'm looking. Wait a second. Off to the left, is that not General Venti? It's like, fuck. Because I had this whole note about what it would mean for Venti to still be alive, you know, and seeing him later and what he might be in control of or whatever, because I just couldn't remember anything about him. It's like, oh, nope, never mind. Sitting right next to Noventa. Alright, well, I mean, if that's all you got for the board, then we do have notes, and as we already covered, you have more, which means you go first.
Yeah. Yep. And this is going to be my mea culpa because I missed the part where Trace leaked the location of the meeting. Pretty dumb of me considering it was the first thing that he and Lady Yoon discussed. I wasted 20 minutes arguing about it. Well.
Well, we discussed, so, you know, here's my first note literally covers the same thing, so I'll just match yours. So we had a long discussion, most of which got left in the edit, about why it would matter that Noventa's shuttle would have an Oz IFF. Well, Operation Meteor is specifically targeting Oz bases, according to Quattro when he's looking at his readout at the start of episode 7. So, had the shuttle had an Earth Alliance IFF, I have no idea if they would have shot it down. As per our previous discussion about Hero and the civilian shuttle he was going to shoot down in episode 1 for just being in his way. Sorry, I thought this was the... it seems like they would still have, but the Oz IFF called attention to it as being a specific target rather than an incidental one. Sorry, I thought this was my note that matched yours for the discussion we had, because I did mark down that the same thing. I missed the same thing that you were talking about. So obviously we were both arguing about a thing, and both of us missed the very real information. Yeah, I think that this whole note that I just read out is a completely regardless, because I know I have a future note that just gets rid of this too.
Yeah, so do I.
It's not, yeah, the element of it being an Oz IFF is to the thing that you just said, but I guess this is just added information. The fact that Quatra says that they are going after Oz facilities specifically is why Trey's then leaking that information, is why all of that plays out. I don't know. Sorry, I thought this was follow-up information. It's not.
Well, you read your note, so I guess I read my second note then.
Yeah.
This is the second anime we watched that has a New Edwards military base on it. The first was Mac Plus, but that base was on planet Eden, not Earth. This one specifically is in California, as confirmed by Quatra's booking a hotel in San Francisco. Which is an important note because of what I believe is going to happen. Something happens later on in the other episode.
Yeah. I know I have a note that literally addresses the fact that New Edwards is in California, but that's only because I needed a note in my notes that references Operation Daybreak by name, so that when I look it up later, I'll have something that I can look up its name by. But otherwise, I don't have anything about New Edwards itself. Also, wasn't it New Edwards in Macross Plus?
No, it was simply New Edwards.
Because that would imply something happened to New Edwards in reality.
No, because there's no New Edwards base. It's just Edwards Air Force Base.
I was sure that there was a New Edwards base in Independence Day, wasn't there?
No,
Isn't that where Will Smith's character is stationed?
Yeah, well, Edwards Air Force Base is mostly a testing center, but it also has other things. But it's just Edwards Air Force Base. There's no New Edwards Air Force Base. That's like saying there's a New York.
Technically, in Doctor Who, there is a New York.
And a lot of things are New York.
That's what I'm saying.
It's just New York. It's York and New York.
New York is just New Amsterdam. Stephen Hiller was his character in Independence Day. And El Toro. He was stationed at El Toro. For some reason, I thought it was New Edwards. I don't know. I swear they mentioned New Edwards in the movie somewhere. I'm not pulling it out of nowhere.
I think that's where they actually go back. No, they go to Area 51, so that doesn't matter.
Well, no. Before, when they first launch, and then the Independence Day aliens counter launch against them.
Oh, I think it was where they were supposed to rescue the First Lady.
Or was it the base that gets attacked that no characters are in?
Yeah. Well, the general was there. It's like, oh, we were attacking. His cigar falls off and they blast him.
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about. The one specifically where the barrel gets hit and goes pew into the air for some reason.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, well then I guess my second note. To our argument about Sally Poe being at the base, I still think not. She seems to be in the place where the planes leaving the base are trying to land, which you would have to think would be some distance away. She grounds her plane to get to the ground, not because it's all wrecked from the fighting, but get to the ground as fast as possible without having to wait through all the retreating planes trying to land on all the same runways. Additionally, the guys you suggested were activating the bomb from New Edwards had contacted Lady Une from a different base that they had just captured and were requesting permission to head to New Edwards, which she declines and says that they can activate the missiles at New Edwards from where they are. Interestingly enough, the English dub cast must have had the same confusion as you, though. Despite the subtitles saying, "Your colleagues and injured officers are still there," in English, she says, "Your colleagues and injured officers are still here on the premises," which goes against everything that's been said so far. Even the unnamed NPCs get in on it with, "I still can't believe anyone can stop the explosion at that base," versus, "I still can't believe anyone's capable of stopping the explosion at this base." To how much we argued about it, I'd almost think you were just secretly watching the English dub when we record.
My note on that, which I have to go down all the way down to episode 8, is I was wrong about where Sally was. Full stop.
Not going to say anything about you were actually secretly watching the English dub? Because I would totally understand if you were mistaken.
I rewatch it. I did rewatch it in English, which I do have a note about that. And I did notice that because I went back and said, she said, because I was reading the subtitle, like, wait a minute. And she said, no, here. It's like, but the subtitle said.
Yeah, no, I just quoted them. I literally just quoted them. That's what I was saying.
Yeah,
if you were actually secretly watching the English, I could see where you would be super confused. Because if you weren't reading the subtitles, you would just hear her say, oh, we're at that base. Or this is where everything's happening. It's like, that's not literally Lady Un in English as well, which is very confusing. Just said, no, don't go to New Edwards. You can do everything from here. It's like, your English translation of this is contradicting what Lady Un just also said in English.
I'll get to my note then. And this goes to the board as well. Funny that Catherine is grounding her own coffee beans. I guess in the future there's no instant coffee, or she's a coffee snob. I mean, it does taste better that way, but it seems like it's such a weird little detail to me. And then I look at the name of some of these people, like Noventa and Venti, and I'm like, I'll just read two of my notes back to back because they fit this. The next thing we have two of Cadre's followers drinking coffee. Maybe somebody in the Wing production team is a real bean enjoyer, or just likes Starbucks or something like that. Because
I mean, before you went into the
coffee,
before you went into the meta of it, I was just going to suggest they are literally a traveling circus. It could be that she has.
No, this is Cadre's people. One of them is a traveling circus.
Remember that you just skipped ahead and read a second note, right?
Yeah.
You didn't give me a chance to address she's grinding her own coffee beans. Catherine is in a traveling circus. It's entirely possible. What I was going to say was that she has like a planter or something. She's like growing her own coffee beans or something.
Except that you literally in the scene, there's a little coffee grinder and there's a bag of beans in front of the coffee grinder.
Maybe she grows her own beans and she stores them in a bag. I don't know.
She wraps them up in the plastic, and the guy says, "Oh, these are my beans."
You don't know
and
if that's
image
plastic.
And everything else.
This is anime. You can't reach out and touch it.
It looks star-bought. It looked very much store-bought.
Some people do that.
She just or town.
Literally, what's his name in Gundam Seed did that.
She has a side also of being a coffee grower and seller.
No. I'm talking about loving coffee. What's his name?
I don't love it, gives it, but
well, no, because that was his thing. He had that whole like fucking setup for like brewing the perfect pot of coffee to the point. Sorry. I don't know if I think they went over it in the movie. The guy who lost like his guy and his leg or his arm, whatever. I'm forgetting his name. That guy back in when we first meet him in Seed.
In the desert, yeah.
His second in command guy. He was like, God, this fucking smells like coffee in here all the time. Like the guy was hotboxing the room with coffee scent.
Yeah. Well, I said those two things, so now it's your turn.
I believe this is the one that I actually probably meant to follow up your first note with. I believe during our post-episode discussion, you had indicated that Treize had possibly hacked or gotten into the mission sending network in order to lure the Gundams here and manipulate them to kill Noventa. Well, with the aforementioned, they are specifically going after Oz bases in mind, which was my actual first note. I imagine Treize just figured out that Oz was the target, and as he says to Lady Un, spread rumors about all the top Oz brass gathering in one place, to which whatever intelligence network is supplying the Gundams with their missions have reported that back. At which point, putting Noventa on an Oz shuttle would be the least involved thing that they would be forced to do. So no, doesn't seem to indicate any ability of Treize's to get into the Gundam's network.
I have one. And this is referring to the fact that I rewatched it in English. Thank you, English dub narrator, for clearing up the fact that Treize leaked that it was a meeting of the Oz officials and not the SFR Alliance, which also makes sense for him to be there, not only as the head of the Oz military operations to a meeting of Alliance bigwigs, but it's confirmation of Oz presence in the area. In other words, if he leaks information and he's there, it's like, oh yeah, must be us. Yeah, because otherwise, why would we be there, right? And in fact, I think Un says like, oh, you're gonna be there as well as bait. It's like, yeah, it's just part of the plan. So yeah, the English narrator just spelled it out. Like, this is what's happening. It's like, thank you, English narrator, for doing that.
It just makes us look that much stupider.
Yeah, true.
Because we missed all of it. Because not for nothing, the English narrator says it, but so does the subtitle. So, implying that the Japanese narrator also said it. It's just that we must have been talking about something. It does happen near the beginning of the episode, and we get so much of, for justice and peace. I always love it when they're just like puts the darkness on and peace. Fucking lying, Earth Alliance, sons of bitch, and peace. Anyway, we always talk over that bit because it's the same bit every time, except for now, apparently. It looks like we got the new thing. But we must have just carried on a conversation. It's kind of interesting that when Noventa proposes disarmament and backing off of funding new weapons development, everyone seems shocked, but also all want that too. Like Septum, whose voice is just a lot in this meeting, states that this is what he wants too, but just doesn't know how to go about it, especially with the recent events with the Gundams. Of course, it doesn't hurt that Septum is the commander of the Space Forces, and the Gundams come from the colonies, putting him in direct opposition to the threat being posed, despite it not being his area of command. Venti is the one who would control the counterattack against the Gundams, but, if he says, oh, they come from the colonies, and he is directly responsible for opening narration, Gundams and people with guns pointing them at the colonists, that's his operation.
I have a note about that, but I'll go to your point, because I didn't make a specific note about what you just said. It's very interesting because we've seen snippets of how the Earth Alliance came to be. Like, apparently there was this very long war. Essentially, they went around pacifying the world, conquering it, right? And their idea was like, we're gonna be the military force for the Earth, right? Everybody can just disarm, right? And having accomplished that, including the colonies, now like, well, we've done our job, right? We pacified everything. Everything is fine. Why continue the conflict? That seems to me what they're going for here,
most
right?
of it, as we previously discussed and you pointed out, there are countries not controlled by the Earth Sphere Alliance. United Earth Sphere Alliance.
Yeah. They're no longer apparently, except for whoever country or organization is supporting Contra on the ground, because they have their own mobile suits. Everyone else is like, okay, fine, you're done. We're fine. No problem.
I mean, there's no evidence that they didn't come from the colonies. Like, they all just came down here. The idea that seems to me, which is presented in, not your area of the notes yet, because it's the next episode, there was pacifist countries that opposed, and probably were the ones that didn't stand up. Like, oh, there goes the Silent Kingdom. Well, we know what's going to happen to us. We're just not going to do anything.
Now, to the whole all shuttles, because also we had a discussion.
I just want to, this is still part of my note here.
Okay.
Talk about for a moment Septum in this fucking episode. Because it might just be the voice doing all the work. Again, this is only for the people watching in English. Sounds like a petulant child.
Yeah.
What do you mean? I want to go in my car with my brother. Like, what is going?
Yeah.
And then when you show, why aren't we taking off yet? It's like, it's just like it's a kid who's whining all the time, not an adult who's in charge of everything.
When he gets told, oh, we have no more use for you. What?
The voice is doing a lot of work. It is just a lot this episode. I am sad that he's dead, because as annoying as the voice is,
I don't think I couldn't take it that voice forever.
I could. I could take that voice for at least 48 more episodes. Like,
oh god,
he is comic relief in a non-comic relief character. He is just like, I imagine any Relina speech just ends with a "what" from Septum in the back.
What do you mean? Yeah.
Just punctuate it with like Little John what, but it's Septum what.
Yeah, what? He's borderline Skeletor, but in this universe, right?
Yeah. Well, because he doesn't do the yeah thing or anything.
Yeah.
He's trying to be serious with the worst possible voice. Like, I could see somebody doing a comedy thing where they just replace Septum with Gonzo.
Yeah. Yeah, Septum. It was your time to go. Okay. My next note. So by giving them an OS shuttle to escape, a shuttle with an OS logo and IFF, Trey sealed the doom of the Alliance leadership, since the Gundam pilots believed that they were attacking an OS and not attacking OS and not the Alliance. Not that it would make a real difference, as you pointed out, since it was the Alliance that was suppressing the colonies. But I guess somebody figured out that OS was the backbone of the Alliance, so they take that out, the Alliance.
Or, I mean,
right?
It's that, or they just know the whole Romefeller-Oz connection, and as what Trey says to Lady Un, learn more about Oz. We ourselves have to learn more about Oz to know why Operation Meteor specifically is targeting. So it's just when you said that, as you said, and I'm like, yeah, that was part of my first note, but I kind of have to argue against my own first note here. And you pointing out that I said this, the element that all the other craft got away. That's the whole point that I brought up with Sally Poe, and that she has to belly land in the sand because all the other craft are trying to get away, and they got away. So they literally came here. They attacked here being New Everett. They attacked the base. They targeted the Oz leadership, and apparently just let most of the Earth Alliance craft that are flying away go. So apparently, as much as I keep pointing out that Hero was going to shoot down a civilian shuttle in the first episode, I mean, maybe the only reason they got away is because Wu Fei. Wu Fei comes by, says, "Oh, you guys fucked up," and then Hero goes into catatonic mode where they're like defending him in episode 2 because he's just doing nothing. That had Wu Fei not shown up and said that, Hero would have been blowing things out of the sky.
Pretty much. Your next note, then.
All right, as I said, I only had one note about New Edwards, and this is it. Just a nothing little factoid so that I could include something about Operation Daybreak in my notes. We know the Earth Alliance meeting is happening in California, and that Zex is in Nairobi. There's a 10-hour difference between the two locations, and it is daytime at the meeting and nighttime where Zex is, meaning Operation Daybreak, ironically, is happening anywhere between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. Pacific time.
I mean, it's a code name. It doesn't have to be literal. I guess it's a daybreak of a new day in the Earth sphere, as opposed to a literal daybreak, where attack at dawn kind of situation, right?
Doesn't have to be, but it is. Literally, they send the signal from where they're at in California, so conceivably it could be 8 a.m., as I've indicated, when they start Operation Daybreak.
Okay, my next note. I gotta say that as melodramatic as this show is, Trace is far better commander than the idiotic Jibril was in Destiny.
Disagree? Sorry, I don't know if it's the want to always disagree with you, or my...
Okay.
The counter I have here is I also really liked... Well, here's the thing. As you're probably going to point out when we get to the next episode, Trace could have just gotten himself killed immediately in the next episode. Like, he goes holding the sword, and the Wu Fei's like, I'll do that. Hand crushed, dead. Yeah. So Jibril never put himself in that direct line of danger. So
true, but at least his strategic planning and how he did things, Jibril was like, nuke him. Oh, that failed.
No, you're blaming him for logo stuff. You're blaming him for logo stuff. He never pulls the nuke card. He only pulls the super weapon card at the very end, in fact.
True, but he's like that. He's like, I have plans, and then we don't ever see his plans because he doesn't.
We do actually. His plans are everything that's happened. Jibril's plans are so good that we were guessing the entire time what his plans were, and then technically at the very end, we're like, did he do it? And it's like, that's the sign of a good leader. Trey's fucking telling us all the time what his plans are, and then again,
pulled them off.
Jibril never went out and like tried to sword fight a Gundam. So it's like, I have to think Trey's... Look, we're like episode 9 right now. We're about to go into episode 9. Well, actually, technically, the king I keep referencing, episode 8. Trays could have been taken out in episode 8.
Should have been taken out in episode 8. I did not write that note because like it was so obvious. I was like, because I already said in the when we did the recordings, like, yeah, no.
Well, that's what I'm saying, because even then, because you could argue that Gibble like was on the Minerva, right, when it's under attack from Gertie Lou, and it's like, even then, I don't think he was in that much danger. We could have done an evacuation on one of the Gundams or something. This is literally, we're fighting the Gundams on a bunch of other ships, and I'm just gonna like, with my things, like, let him over. Let him on over.
Yeah.
He's inviting himself to get killed. Like, the next 40-something episodes would have been without Trays, had it not just, like, randomly gone that way. And also, I want to indicate...
he does have a twin... And Wu Fei has a twin flamethrower. He could have just sprayed that, because it's not even a warship. It's like a cruise ship.
It is. That's why I went with the sail-by salute, as we all know.
He would have completely spray that with super fire that he flies that just blows a building and just set it on fire.
Well, I also want to indicate that when he gets away, like when Wu Fei goes, and he's on the Lady on, next time I'll have to fight him honorably in his own battleground in a mobile suit. And it's like, we know that you know nothing about the Gundam pilots. You all have been guessing this entire time about where they're going to attack, let alone what they're like. So you had no idea Wu Fei would be that guy. What if it was Hero? Hero wouldn't fucking care. Hero would have just blasted you with a super weapon from across the way.
The only thing you would have seen would have been the beam going like.
I mean, not for nothing. Troa was also there. You got lucky that Troa's got thrown into the water. Troa would have opened up with the heavy arm's only real weapon.
Yeah, all the missiles and the heavy Gatling gun.
So that's what I'm saying. I stand opposed to what you're saying about Trays being better than Gibral, but at the same time, I do really like Trays. So it's the conflicting nature inside of me to disagree, but also like the character.
I guess it's your next. No, you don't have any more notes?
No, I have a bunch of notes. I don't know. I always tell you this is my last note. I got a bunch.
Okay.
I only have like 7 less than you. That's all.
Yeah, I did do a couple of them more so.
Septum's Revel type broadcast at the end of the episode was also a pretty shitty way to let Noventa's family know that he'd been killed. No time for someone to contact them and break the news. Just instant worldwide news broadcast with video of the incident happening.
I mean, yes.
Also, that's the voice that you want to let your kids know that their dad's dead? We've got to... Yes. Our leader's been killed.
Yeah. But at the same time, it's like he wants... more Oz than Septum. Clearly, this was Oz trying to, and succeeding and manipulating him, right? It's like, oh, we need to, get on. Because remember, they're still fighting over remnants
every
of the
base
Alliance.
in the world.
Yeah. So the idea is, okay, you guys are fighting, but look what the colonies did. Let's rally around that.
Okay, I had that. Still included video of the shuttle being destroyed, which, your dad was in, or your husband was in, or, whatever. It's just, it's a pretty shitty way. It's immediately, oh, celebrity died, paparazzi at front door. What do you think of? What do you mean my husband's, It's a horrible way to find out.
Yeah. I have a note about Lady Yoon's tactics, as it were, but and this is just a throwaway note right there to the audience. Like we said during our watch, we expected these events to happen much later in the show, but they're happening now. So,
well, as Trey says, the second act has just begun. Yeah. It's going to be a pretty long second act if memory serves. Well, then again, I could just think everything happens later. So what I'm suspecting to happen next, the big next curtain raise or whatever, could just be like a couple episodes away. And as it turns out, I don't remember.
Yeah. But it begs I guess it begs the question: what happens in all those other episodes? Because this is like 40-some episodes, right?
Well, it feels like that conversation I had with you just yesterday during Macross Delta, where I say that I always look back at the shows that had a lot of stuff that I didn't like, and I only remember the good stuff, right? Like Macross 7 is filled with filler, but I don't remember the filler when I think back to it. I think of the good stuff, so could be that I'm just, rose-tinted glasses with the Gundam Wing. I do remember there being a lot of slogs to get through in Gundam Wing, but who the hell knows? I was also remembering that as a teenager.
Also, I think the reason is that, well, we're watching 2 episodes at a time. We kind of speedrunning this ourselves a little bit. We would have just been watching the one episode. Actually, no,
because in the afternoon, you'd get one episode, and then during Adult Swim, you would get different episodes. Well, yeah,
it was 5
once
episodes
a week
per week. Yeah,
but I mean, the one that would play at night would typically not. Well, they say it was the same episode, but I don't remember it being the same episode.
Because there's one on Sundays, but then during the daytime,
well, the one
they would
on
have
Sunday,
one episode.
The Sunday ones weren't airing in order.
Yeah,
because those would be like 5. Those would be back-to-back Sunday ones. Not like, I mean, by back-to-back, I mean last week's Sunday one the next episode would be next Sunday, whereas the 5 days a week one. The difference between Sonic the Hedgehog and Sonic Sat AM.
Yeah, so we would have watched, months worth of episodes in a single week, right?
Yeah. And, if you didn't have the internet, then you'd have no idea what the hell happened last week.
Yeah.
I know Duo is the one that has the edgelord reputation, but what the hell, Wu-Fei? I'm gonna fight you, Oz, even if I have to do it on my own, he said in front of 4 other guys that were all sent to the planet to do the exact same thing. You're not special, Wu-Fei. You're in the same boat as everyone else.
He thinks he's special. Narrator, not quite. Not so much.
So yeah, he literally looks to the sky and then turns away, and even if I have to do it alone, 4 guys staring at your back, all doing the same job.
Very dramatic, Wu-Fei. Very dramatic. Very diva of you. Now, talking about Wu-Fei and Troa, to less extent, we're now on episode 8, the Trace assassination, or at least I am. Those bombs might not have hurt the Gundams, but they should have buried those transports in rubble. Oh well, I guess plot armor is that malleable.
I think they're supposed to be like heavily armored transports, the same way that we'll get the guys on the ground, like a whole squadron of people, and they just
shooting machine guns
fly on through.
Yeah,
I mean, like if we were seeing like Die Hard 2, this thing would be like leaking the fuel and shit all over the place. The inside of the plane would just be like,
sweet
God,
cheese.
it's so fucking windy.
Yeah. No cabin pressure. Although there shouldn't be any cabin pressure in the cargo hold, and only be in the cockpit or other places. But depends on the plane.
Yeah. I mean, if they were shipping FedEx, then there should be pressure in the back, in the cargo hold. Anybody who's watched Castaway would remember that.
Yeah. On to you.
We don't have any current evidence as to where the Sank Kingdom was just yet, but near Luxembourg is thus far might be a clue. At the same time, this base is called the Alliance HQ by Diego, so it might just be where the orders came from, or where Diego was reassigned after the fact, and Luxembourg is no clue at all.
Yeah. Also, it looks kind of like a middle of a desert or something. It could just be that it'd be blasted away and you don't have a lot of, Could we see Noah in her motorcycle like, well, I'm going to give a dramatic speech right now.
Well, I mean, also could just be that Noin is still somewhere near Nairobi.
Yeah. She got her out of her mobile suit and decided, I'm just going to grab a motorcycle because reasons.
Well, remember, her fighting was done at night, so this is like day after, so we have no idea what,
No. Well, she's looking over what looks like rubble.
No, I'm saying that your desert comment. I'm saying she could still be somewhere near Nairobi. That Zex would be like, okay, you lock things down here. I've got something else to take care of.
Said that, okay. Now, this is speculation, but I did check on Google Maps, which is how reliable that is. I'll let you know. If New Edwards is the same place as Edwards Air Force Base, then its 300-kilometer radius explosion would have wiped out the city of Los Angeles, which as of the time of recording has over 3.8 million people. So it wasn't simply, oh, by the way, the people in the base here are people. You could destroy a major urban area and kill millions, with this bomb that is supposed to go off like a nuke, but not really a nuke.
Well, I mean, that's why Lady Unn needs to learn more about Oz.
I have a comment about
Literally
yes.
Trey's whole speech. The Earth is a contained environment, and people are too easily killed. According to the burning picture, the Peacecraft family was 34 members strong, with 3 children and one of them a baby. Now just 2 left. Diego almost completely did the job. That's a lot of implied dead people. It's a hard note to follow up when you're like 3.4 million. I don't remember the number you threw out.
2.8.
Yeah, your nuke comparison. I'm just comparing how Diego killed a family of 34 people.
Yeah.
I'm assuming Relina was the baby. I don't know.
He's supposed to be what, 11 or 12 in that picture?
I don't know. He's
It's
standing
anime
at
time,
like maybe a little above hip height to a guy who's sitting down. So,
and what appears to be a wheelchair or some sort.
oh, I thought it was just a regular chair. Because there's another old guy on the left-hand side of the picture who's literally hunched over on a cane. So they're, I don't know. But again, 34 people, like counted left to right, and what did I say? 3 kids. One of them was a baby. I'm anticipating that the other kid would have been Zex's age, so clearly not Relina. I don't know if that implies that Darlian was the guy holding. No, sorry, it's a woman holding the baby. Never mind.
Okay, it's the 34 people, so it could be probably includes all aunts and uncles and cousins, and
Yeah, I said family. All I said was family, not direct relation.
Oh, extended. I mean, extended family, right?
That's all I said was the Peacecraft family was 34 strong. Like this was the cookout.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, nuclear devices don't suffer from sympathetic detonation effect, but they never say what type of weapon it was.
No, they said all the other ones were set up to explode along with the explosion, so you only had to activate one explosion, and then they would all go off at the same time.
Well, the implication is they would go off because this one exploded, or were activated.
No, they said that there was devices on the other ones that would go off because this one went off. They say say that essentially, but I don't know what they don't imply what is happening. But they do speak to it at the very least.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that they don't say what type of weapon it is. It's supposed to be very powerful, but we don't know if it's a nuke or something else.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be a nuke. They literally show us the nuke explosion radiuses. This is going to be the immediate fireball radius. This is going to be the concussive wave radius. This is going to be the fallout radiation radius. If you go to whatever that nuclear map website is to see what a nuke in your area would be, and the wind or the way it wouldn't carry it, literally how that little quadruple radius thing for the explosion looks like on their map.
Yeah, but even though more likely to spread a significant amount of radioactive material, turning into the largest dirty bomb ever made. In other words, if again the way it's explained is kind of is it should have been say, okay, we have one device that activates all of the bombs instead of we set off one bomb and that somehow.
Well, they said the other ones have devices. So I don't think they're implying that the explosion is going to set off other explosions. I think they're implying that there's devices on them that when one of them gets activated, they're all going to get activated. And not for nothing. I don't think that's the default system. I think it's an activation of the turnkey button push thing.
Either way, it was kind of weird. Wanted to make note of it.
I don't remember a lot of those weapons being used in the show, so I think it might be just a one-off thing.
Yeah, legacy nuke weapons, perhaps.
This is just a quick little note. So we've got Aries and Leos, and now we've got aerial Leos.
Yeah, you can slap on armor to make them fly, so yeah.
Why? We are literally episode 1, we had Zex and a parachuting Leo. And it's okay, I guess they're really good, but at the same time, they go down as fast as the Aries do. Well, see how.
Yeah. It might not be a kit. It might be more a kit to the parachutes and backpacks they put in the Gundam, like in 8th MS team. Not designed for combat per se, but more designed to self-deploy, right?
It looked like an Ares system. It looked like it's meant to fly. I think the guy said something about flight.
No, flying. Yeah, flying. But that means that you don't use it. It's not meant to be a combat, turning an Ares into a combat vehicle. Rather, oh, hey, here's a pack. You self-deploy. You need to go somewhere else. And then when you get there, you drop it off, and now you go to combat. I don't understand what I'm saying.
I mean, I know what you're trying to say. I just disagree with you. The element that anything with a gun and air capability becomes a ranged platform, so it is going to be a combat system.
Okay, my next note. I like how Katra, who just met Hiro and calculates that he has a 10% chance of success, is still confident that he will succeed. So is Major Sally for some reason. I guess Major Sally saw, oh, this guy can jump from a 50-story window, story building. He'll survive anything.
Oh, she's hot for him.
Pull off anything. Yeah.
And Quattro just believes in everybody.
Yeah. Apparently.
Well, this is going to be my final note, and it just goes back to the element that I think a previous commenter had pointed out. We mentioned before, in a comment, well, technically, we didn't mention before, a commenter mentioned before that all the characters in Gundam are numbered names. Hiro Yui, derived from Japanese hitotsu, meaning one. Duo Maxwell, derived from the Latin word for two. Troa Barton, based on the French word for three, Troys. Quattro Rababa Winner, yeah, don't correct me when I get the names wrong, just fucking go with it. Derived from the French word for four. Chang Wu Fei, Wu is Chinese for five. Zex Marquise / Milliardo Peacecraft, Zex is German for six. Did I just say? I think I said Zex. Sorry, I'm correcting myself now. Zex is German for six. Milliardo is French for billion, indicating a large number or the end of a numerical sequence. Lucretia Neun is German for 9. I know these don't even apply right. Lady Un is French for 1, but she represents the number 11. And Trace Kushranada, Trace is French for 13.
It fits.
I mean, some of them are a bit of a stretch.
Yeah.
Troa.
It's just in there. Yeah, it's a naming convention. Also, it's like, well, we can use that, but it's foreign enough that sounds futuristic, otherworldly kind of thing.
Well,
right?
I mean, like Hiro, Hitotsu.
Yeah. Well, also Hiro might be a pun on, because it's also, there's Hiro. That's how it's romanized, the kanji, or Hiro, which sounds more like the English hero. Yeah, I know, Hitotsu.
That's what I'm saying. You don't. How do you get from Hitotsu to hero?
Words on, he is the hero, literally.
No, I don't know. You don't have to explain what hero means. We haven't all understood that. Yeah. I'm saying, where do you get to Hitotsu? My whole discussion is about the word and the number.
Yeah, there's a way to
I appreciate, though, for the moment that you thought the extra E was throwing us all off about hero being hero.
No, it must be the way it's written in the kanji. Because sometimes kanjis can be completely different. Or katakana.
I was trying to put this together. I'm like, wait a second. Lady Un would be 1. Why?
Yeah.
Clearly hero is meant to be 1. So how would we have 2 1s? 2 1s? 11. No. So that's the crew put that together.
It has to be the katakana or the kanji that leads to the pun there.
It's also weird that we're missing a 10 and a 12. I guess technically also a 7 and an 8, now that I'm counting.
We have a 20, though.
No, we don't. Do we?
Well, we had. They died.
Who?
20.
Oh, is that mean 20? I thought that meant large.
Yeah. Well, it also means large, but
the thing is that you're joking a lot about coffee shit. I don't drink coffee, and I never have, so at best, I'm thinking venti. It's not like a word they use at Starbucks for coffee sizes.
I'm not going to update that now. Stop it, Discord. I'm not going to update. Let me to my next note then. Why did the bars to the detonator sparked with electric arcs. And why didn't they shock Hero? Wait, never mind. This is Hero we're talking about.
Well, that
Because
wasn't.
he pulls it
Yeah,
apart
that
and it
wasn't
starts
the bar.
electricity.
That was passing electrical. That was nothing to do with the detonator. That was part of the system around it. That was, if I go into your under your house or whatever, and they start ripping shit out and stuff, like water starts pouring on me. It's not that you're the thing. So I'm just not explaining this. I think you understand what I'm getting at. This is just other systems that are passing through. Like, it makes the thing that doesn't make any sense is that there's this little passageway to get through, or like a ducting network, and then there's just pipes going through it. It's like, that's blocking the ducting. That's not what a duct is for. You don't put your pipes through the duct. It'd be like if my plugs in my electrical system went through my AC vents. It's like, why?
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense. That's something you would do in some sort of cyberpunk.
Yeah, so it just starts. He pulls them apart and it starts sparking, and he just like whatever. He doesn't even get burned or chopped and like
Terminator.
that. Yeah, pretty much. Now, to your point about, we braced a couple of times about Lady Yun having to learn about Oz. Here's my note about it. The whole Trace talking to Yun about her failure and that she had to learn more about Oz just comes as weird, at least to me. She's part of Oz, and Trace should be familiar with her methods. She is his attack dog after all. I mean, he sent him to assassinate Relina's father and all that. That followed by the fight with Wu Fei is supposed to paint him as a noble demon, but also the man that orchestrated a worldwide takeover of the Alliance and the assassination of the very leaders that were pushing for peace. I guess it's good that he has his limits, but those seem to come after after the fact. I don't know why I read that. I wrote it that way. I doubt that he would have cared if those bombs had gone off and killed millions in the process, as well as many of his own men.
Well, he would have cared.
Yeah, but it's
that
like,
was the whole point of the scene that you started describing to begin with before you went around. He did like a U-turn.
Yeah, but it would have been that's a shame that happened. Oh well, the Gundams are dead, right? It feels that way. It doesn't feel like, I shouldn't do this anymore. Look how difficult this has been. We killed millions. I don't think he's going to stop his plans.
The element that you found it weird is the element I didn't take a note about it, specifically because of things that we know about Lady Yun in the future that hasn't been revealed to us yet. So that's why I don't think it's weird, but also can't talk about it.
But it at first blush is like, well, she is your second in command. She probably has been in the Oz organization for how long?
I mean, literally,
she is a member of Oz.
In the same breath, you should be talking about the field of calmness that he broadcasts to her before, like, send him on over. Before that happens, because I think that also ties into the same reason he talks to her in the way that he talks to her. But again, things that normally I don't even know if we would question. The problem is that we come from a pace of knowing, or here's the thing, I don't explicitly remember why Lady Yun is the way she is. I just know the thing that she is not exactly what she appears to be. I don't know that if I was watching this without any of that context, that I wouldn't have brought it up in my notes myself. Because, I think it's weird that he broadcast a field to her. Maybe. I don't know if I'd have anything to say about it. And I certainly don't have anything to say about it now because,
And my final note. And it's about sex and how he deals with, Diego. I'm paraphrasing here. Diego, they will never take this space without a fight. Sex waltzes in. Yeah, about that. Amilardo Peacecraft, bitch. And shot fired. Basically, that's what happens. It's like, they've been fighting for days. They're never getting in here. He just was like, yeah, you know who I am? Yeah. Sorry about that.
That doesn't make any sense either.
Yeah.
Do you know who I am? And then picture burning that he would not have been present to see. And then, what did you identify him with? Are you saying he has the same body shape that he did as a child? Is it the hair?
Barely.
The hair isn't even the same. What part of this makes, this is,
I would say that I would be... The conversation is that Diego apparently suspected who he was and kept his distance. like, oh, you suspected who I was, and that's why you kept your distance while I was in the alliance. It's like, if his job was to kill you, he could have just arrest that kid, kill him, get rid of him, right?
Well, no.
Make him
There's
disappear.
the
Yeah.
element. There's the element. His job was to eliminate the Sank Kingdom, and
Yeah.
apparently, what you think he was 11? You said back
About
then.
yeah.
Yeah. So, 9 years after a guy shows up that you think might be him,
Yeah.
it's not your job to kill those people anymore. You've moved on. You've been promoted, apparently, to other jobs and whatnot. It would be weird if you just suddenly took a guy out. Also, not for
Yeah,
nothing,
but
he's Trey's second in command. You're gonna have a lot of hard times trying to do what you're trying to say that he should have done, or think
yeah,
that he should have done.
true. But at the same time, if you suspect this kid is this now young man, uh, older man, to be who you think it is, you would at least keep an eye on him. Like,
He is.
I don't know, because
He is keeping an eye so he can keep away. That's what he's saying.
it didn't work here though.
Well, it never was going to work out. Diego is the guy you would least want to be if you were in these shows. Like, he's real high ranked and everything, but at the end of the day, the kid got away, and when he shows up again, he's basically, no one's touching Trey's in United Sphere Alliance. One, he's being backed by the Romefeller Foundation, which has enough money to supply. Apparently, they're essentially logos. There are logos in this world, and you're not going to fuck with essentially. Sorry, I'm now realizing an argument that we had not an argument, a debate. Oh, we had a moment ago. No. Yeah, no, actually, yeah. Fuck.
About Jibril and Logo.
Yeah. Well, did you mean Durandal?
No, I meant Jibril.
Okay, well then I take back everything I said, because, well, here's the thing, you never corrected me, because I kept mentioning stuff Durandal had done well, that's what I said, you never corrected me. You didn't say, oh, Durandal did that, not Jibril. So in my mind, you said Jibril, and I was thinking Durandal, and I was like, no, Durandal was a much better leader than Jibril ever was.
Yeah.
No, sorry, I was saying Durandal was a much better leader than Trey's ever was. And then I kept using Durandal examples. You never corrected me.
Because you were talking about Jibril. I was like, well, that kind of fits, because Jibril was in the background, but
when you said kept firing nukes after nukes after nukes, and I'm like, Durandal never fired any nukes. And then you never corrected me there either. Well, I didn't even say Durandal. I don't think I said Durandal at any point during that discussion. I just kept saying, hey, he didn't fire any nukes. And you're like, oh, that's true. Like, what? No. Or I said, no, that was Logos. You're like, yeah. You never corrected me once.
Yeah.
Well, I think it comes across that clearly I was talking about Durandal that whole time.
Yeah, but I think this is supposed to be, I mean, this happened before Siege, so I think because of the Romefeller Foundation and all that, he's supposed to be more of a Jibril in the situation, more of the leader of the Earthbound faction rather than the Space Post faction.
I would say he's not, because the conceit is, and I guess I'm going to throw this out there before it happens, Romefeller Foundation itself comes out as our group of characters at some point in the show. Yeah. So Logos itself comes out, which means he's not the Jibril Logos crew. I don't know if there's a one.
He's not a supreme leader. He's not a supreme leader, but
I think he would be Durandal in this aspect, in that he's manipulating Romefeller in the same way that it seemed Durandal was manipulating Jibril, and thus all of Logos. Like, as you said, this comes out before that, but I mean, the idea for trying to one-for-one things here. So I think Trey's would be Durandal, but I also think Durandal was better than Trey's. So, again, though, I like Trey's more than I do Durandal. There's that aspect as well.
And I like Durandal until second 3 or 4 episodes before the end. It's like, never mind. Yeah, they took you see that meme of taking the chip from one guy and putting another chip? I think that's what they did. It's like, oh, Jibril has the genocidal chip. Okay, let's put it in Durandal now. Like,
I legit don't know the meme you're talking about, so.
Yeah.
You said chip for one guy, another guy. You tuned into me watching Apocalypse Hotel just the other day. to a
Yeah, kinda
scene
like
where
that.
literally they were taking shit from one person to another person.
Yeah.
Well, you say you like that. That was literally the best episode so far. So literally no other episode was like that so far.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's literally the trailer that I watched for that show was almost like that episode. That's the show that I've wanted to see the entire time. Could not recommend the show to you if that's what you want. Unless you want to watch 3 episodes of the show, you probably could 1, 2, and then 11.
Yeah.
Though the flashback parts aren't going to make any sense to you.
Although now there's another hotel-based anime that's coming out, but it's about assassins.
Inhuman Hotel or Hotel Inhuman.
Yeah.
I know. I saw the trailer. Trailer. I almost wrote it off because I thought it was going to be the same thing, but with monsters. And it's like, no, it's like a John Wick thing.
Yeah. Well, those were my notes.
Oh, you didn't give me my final note is, so I thought you had more
I didn't
to go.
I didn't give you the prompt. No, sorry.
All right. Well, as I said, we do have comments. So from Canaris4 from the Patreon, from Scenario for Bloodshed. This is one of those episodes that make you think the world would be better off if Noin killed Wu Fei. Hiro was so happy to have successfully completed his mission to kill all those Aussies, only for Wu Fei to ruin everything by telling him that he actually wiped out the Alliance's leadership, and now Hiro is sad.
Okay.
Well, to be fair, I agree that probably the world would be better if Noin had killed Wu Fei.
Yeah,
Without the rest,
example,
you gotta stop right there. One sentence.
Yeah. Yeah, I can say that I know why Wu Fei gets a lot of hate. And I'm getting showered with it by Extinction, which is fine. I don't care.
Well, only by me at this point. We already read the 2 comments from earlier.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, as YouTube catches up.
Yeah, get more hate later on. But the thing is that example is actually Wu Fei being kind of, well, by accident because he arrived late, but still it's like, listen, we were hoodwinked. He's actually doing the right thing. This is the situation. I'm going to try to take care of the situation. You guys either follow me or not, right? That's and Dro is like, oh, I'm going to go with you. Okay, let's go, right? So that's not an example of why Wu Fei sucks. There are plenty of examples that you can say.
I would
Wu Fei
argue,
sucks.
based on my own comments from earlier, that Hiro probably would have shot down all of the escaping Earth Alliance people had he not gone into a catatonic state because of what Wu Fei told him. There would be less people to fight later.
True, but that is...
Also, he wouldn't have had to been woken up from his state by Sally Poe telling him all that shit. He would have taken care of that situation sooner with, like, less of a, 1 second left on the clock to go.
Well, he didn't know the warheads were going to go off until Sally told him, so...
Yeah, but he would have been paying attention to shit around him, so there might have been context clues, or he could have been monitoring Oz/Earth Alliance transmissions or whatever. They do that. Obviously, because Quattro was reading a whole fucking readout. She's right. There's a whole missile base down. Like, what the fuck are you looking at?
Yeah. But still, I mean, it's you. I think you mentioned not in this run, of course, and we were talking about some other show, and you were like, "What happens if you do the right thing for someone else, and then that someone else hurts a third person? Are you responsible for that?" And it kind of fits away. Like, I don't think Wu Fei can be responsible for telling the truth of what's going on.
That was your thing for Kokoro Connect, where literally I was saying that if you help, the situation was a character helps somebody, and then somebody else that's infatuated with the character that helped somebody is hurt because that other person was helping somebody else, and you were saying it's that person who was helping someone's fault for not taking into consideration the feelings of the person that was infatuated with them. And I was saying, that's nonsense.
It's a similar situation.
That's like the stalker decides to kill you because you've been seeing somebody, and you're like, you didn't take into the stalker's consideration. That's the exact same thing, but viewed from a different lens. It's like, no, I am only responsible for what I do. How you feel is your own thing, but at the same time, yeah, well, it's different contexts for different relationships, right? If we're like family members and I do something knowing it's going to hurt you, then I'm the asshole. But if you're a stranger and I have no concept of what your feelings are, and I do a thing and it hurts you, that's not on me. Your feelings are unknown.
Okay. Now, bringing it here, Wu Fei doesn't know Hero, doesn't know he's going to go
Wu Fei
catatonic.
would not care if he knew Hero.
Oh, true, but still,
There are a trifecta of the unfeeling members of this team. Troa,
Yeah.
Hero. It's weird because we're dealing with Hero who's in a state, but he is one of the unfeeling. He's learning to feel. And Wu Fei, who is just an asshole. He has feelings, as we know from his emo edgelord bit, but he doesn't care about other people's feelings, so he would not care about Hero's thing. I would also argue that is all Wu Fei does. He arrives late, so he doesn't contribute to the battle. Immediately tells them they've done wrong, so he hurts the people that are here, to the point where Hero goes catatonic, and then immediately books it for the first transport out.
Well, he helps stop because Duo and Troa were fighting, and he stops that fight. He breaks up that fight with a blast of his flamethrower.
I would argue
Stop it.
that we're also in the midst of Duo and Quattro, the most feeling and emotional bunch. The same thing that Wu Fei does to stop the fight, Quattro probably would have done the same way he did when he and Troa were fighting.
Yeah.
So
but he didn't
Wu
do that. It was Wu Fei.
Yeah, well, it's only because Wu Fei showed up. Yeah, I think absent of Wu Fei showing up, Quattro would have done it.
Well, I don't think Wu Fei did anything.
He didn't do anything, is my fucking point. He didn't do anything but put Hero into a catatonic state. That's the only thing. It is his fault, because he's the one that did it. As per your previous Kokoro Connect thing, by the way, watch our episode reaction of Kokoro Connect, episode 4, if you want to know what we're talking about.
But according to your statement, he shouldn't be responsible because they're completely strangers to each other, and he doesn't know Hero's state of mind and what would happen to him.
But according to your statement, it doesn't matter what my statement is, because you believe that he should be. Is now where you get rid of your old statement from Kokoro Connect to agree with me there to try and make me wrong here?
No, because again, you actually corrected it when you said if it's somebody you know, like a family member, or in case of Kokoro Connect, a small group of friends, who know each other in actions, both physical and metaphysical, can affect each other. And that's all I'm going to say. I don't want to spoil it. You should watch, by the way. Kokoro Connect is pretty good so far.
Giving it room to suck.
You always got to say, you always have to have a parachute just in case.
Yeah, because you don't want this to come out and we're like watching episode 8 of Kokoro Connect where something heinous happens and we're like, hate the show all of a sudden. You don't know the timing between when this airs and what episode we might be on that comes out.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Oh, that show fucking rocks, and it's an episode filled with SA. It comes out next.
Yeah. Anyway, and so in this situation, the middle ground would be they don't know each other. Whether if Wu Fei did know that this could happen to him, to Hero, then he certainly would be responsible because he had knowledge and did it anyway because he didn't care. Now, yes, granted, Wu Fei doesn't give a shit.
No.
Either way, but
you're going off on an argument that I wasn't going to even bring up. The thing is that when we talk about Kokoro Connect, we're talking about introspection and investigation of what's happened here, who's responsible for what, and that sort of thing. And I don't think we can apply that methodology to Gundam because nobody cares. This is a investigation of after effect, not so much intent. So Kokoro Connect is a group of friends, obviously, so we deal with what's going on with the friend group, and obviously they have a completely unique situation going on there due to the conceit of the show. Here, it's not so much investigating the purpose behind why things are happening between emotionalities and whatnot. It's more so, what is the after effect? And in this case, what is the effect of Wu Fei saying a thing? Hero going into a catatonic state. It doesn't matter what Wu Fei intended. We're just investigating what happened. And in this case, I'm just like, for me, it's like an after-action report, right? Who did what, where? Wu Fei did not engage into the combat. He showed up late. Your argument is really the only argument that stands, which is to say he interrupted the fight between two Gundams, though I don't know how important that is, but we don't live in an alternate universe where Quattro did the thing, so you have to give credit to Wu Fei for doing that. But at the same time, he caused another pilot to go catatonic, which is still an equivalency for me. Which is to say, imagine a world where Wu Fei didn't show up, and forget my whole Quattro thing. What would the end result be? Possibly one of the Gundam pilots defeating another one of the Gundam pilots, which would leave us down a Gundam pilot, right? In which case, we're exactly the same place. We're down one Gundam pilot. In this case, now it's Hero, directly because of Wu Fei. So instead of Troa, was it Troa and Duo, right?
Yeah, Troa and Duo, yeah.
So instead of Duo or Troa, one of them being knocked out, it's Hero, and it's a direct result of verbal weaponry from Wu Fei. You're an idiot, look what you just fucking did. And then after that, Wu Fei fucks off and adds nothing to the scene anymore.
With Troa.
Yeah, but to be fair, Troa, though, did stuff. They specifically, thanks for the buddies, pal. Thanks for the missiles, buddy.
Well, that's why they started fighting, because they shot the missiles and almost killed them.
Yeah, but then he very specifically says, yeah, because you're all too fucking bunched up.
Yeah.
But my point is that Troa, even though you're saying he left with Wu Fei, contributed. We even see him just mowing down Leos. So at least he added to the scene and contributed to the mission. Wu Fei does not contribute anything to the mission, except to put one of our pilots into a comatose state, and then leaves, having, once again, contributed nothing to the mission. Hell, even if you include the attack on Trays, still contributed nothing to the mission.
Yeah, that's when he really fucks up. Because it's like, oh yeah, I'm going to attack this guy with my sword.
Because you know who also defeated the Leos at Trace's fleet? Troa.
Yeah.
So, Wu Fei damaged an ocean liner a little bit. That was it. All of Operation Daybreak and whatever the hell they called this mission on their end, the Gundam side, Wu Fei hurt an ocean liner a little bit.
And, well, I think he helped sink a ship as well when he crashed into his own carrier, but that was about it.
No, there's no indication that anything sunk. They just crashed. Worst fucking Gundam pilot.
Anyway, those were my notes.
What?
Those were my notes.
What are you talking about? We're in the middle of the comment section. We just finished a comment.
That's true.
And we've got more comments to go. Just in the middle of the comment response, you're like, well, those are my notes.
Yeah, because I was thinking back to what I talked about.
Are you rushing to go to the bathroom or something right now? Do you need to pause for a second?
No. Thinking of a mental slip. Let's go on.
Well, those are my notes. Okay, next up we have Phil Fisher from the Gundam Death Scythe. I thought that Relina's birthday invitation interaction with Hero is interesting because it shows that she has a very sheltered life, mostly surrounded by people who respect and protect her and her family. Then she learns from Hero that not everyone she treats nicely would reciprocate. She should have understood that Hero is dangerous from everything she saw him do earlier, but I think curiosity got the better of her because Hero is a divergence from what she's used to.
Yes. And she's also crazy. I mean, I get where he's coming. I get where your commentary are coming from. I'm not saying that you're wrong. It's just that the way it is done and the way that everybody acts just comes off as being like, oh, everybody just, I mean, it's a simple explanation.
It's classic, it's just classic media. My head was going to 80s, like Hair, or maybe I'm just thinking of Hair for some reason.
But the 70s.
It's probably the 70s because it deals with not Vietnam. Was it Korea? Did they all get shipped off to Korea?
No, Vietnam.
Was it Vietnam? I guess could be. They were all outside of the Capitol building, the same way that I always remember the visuals of that protest being. When Berger gets sent to, I guess, Vietnam, instead of What's-His-Name, because What's-His-Name was out and Berger was taking his place on the base when deployment orders come. That's Hair, right? Sorry. I don't remember
The
hair.
musical. You're talking about the musical, yeah.
I remember that more for the Age of Aquarius song than I do everything else.
I hate.
I'm an Aquarius, so.
So am I. That's why I hate the song.
Well, I mean, my guy, it's the dawning of the Age of Aquarius.
Yeah, oh my god.
Well, how
No.
many other songs do you have related to Aquarius?
Not many that I know of, but yeah.
Not for nothing. It's not a bad song. It's not a bad movie.
I know.
But very specifically, though, there's that, what do you call them? Obviously, it doesn't take place in California, but I think typically when you talk
Hippies?
about yuppies, no. Is it yuppies?
Hippies.
No, I'm
Hippies.
talking about, yuppies would be the rich, well-to-do. No, yeah, there's a name.
Hippies, not yuppies. Hippies.
I understood what you were talking about. I already said no like
You said-
3 times when you said hippies.
You
I
said
said
yuppies,
no.
and I was like, yuppies in the 80s. No, that's what you
And no,
like
so I'm
hippies
trying to get to the word that I'm trying to think of. No, it's basically well-to-do girls that slum it with the guys on the wrong side of the track. But typically,
Not
you
Valley
see it from
Girls.
no. I
That's
mean, typically
also-
you see it with Valley girls, like in movies and whatnot. It's a Valley girl with the poor kid from just down across the tracks.
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't know the names of locations in California, but typically, it is that sort of thing that happens. Like why I said earlier that I thought I was thinking about an '80s movie when I said hair, because
Yeah,
I
no,
think
hair
it's
is something.
I think it's a thing that happens more in '80s movies, like Heathers, for example.
Yeah.
The Heathers are snobby, well-to-do girls, and what's his name? He's literally the poor guy from the wrong side of the tracks.
Mhm.
Or God, I can't. There's too many movies, and this isn't particularly a genre of movie I watch a lot of stuff in, but I do know it is a trope at the very least.
In Broadway, it was 1968 as a musical. I think it was 1970, 71 as a movie. I'm not really sure.
Which one?
Hair.
Okay. Now this is going to take forever. I was going to
Hey.
jump to TV tropes real quick and try and figure out if it listed it by name, but I don't think it's because the only thing I got is all girls want bad boys, and that's doesn't give me the name of the type of person I was talking about.
Yep. Anyway, what was the point again?
Well, I was trying to think of the name of that because that's what I was indicating that Relina was doing
Mean
with
Girls.
Hero.
You thought she's not one of the Mean Girls, so that's not it.
What? No,
because we talk about Heathers, and Heathers, the group was kind of Mean Girls before.
well,
Mean
no.
Girls
The point was
thing.
that the Heathers group was a bunch of well-to-do, like upper middle class, lower high class group, and what's his name? Who I can't remember. Is literally a transient. He's like his father and him come from outside. They live in a nothing housing. He's literally the poor guy from down the tracks, and in the hair, Burger is essentially the same thing to the rich girl whose family hates him.
Well, in Japanese, she would Relina is what's called an oje. Which is romanized as OJOU. According to TV tropes, is a formal Japanese word for literally young lady. It's typically used in anime when referring to wealthy, high-class female characters. She's a blue blood, right? It's sort of kind of situation. So he's very much that type of character. Eventually, they do have a Gundam mission here. Probably they do. Yep, literally, she's described as when the story begins, she's a daughter of a wealthy diplomat family who's very popular at school, kind of polite enough to kind of polite in classes, but she's mainly the daughter of high status father. So yeah, she is an oju, basically, in Japanese. So there's a very specific Japanese trope for that.
Yeah. Well, when you found that, I found nothing other than apparently this thing reminding me that the Titanic is also an example of that. I thought there was a name for those girls in media, but apparently not.
I mean, slumming it is a trope as well, but not
the same thing.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that was the final comment. You have anything else you want to add?
No, because like I said earlier, I finished with my comics.
Yeah, that doesn't mean you don't have anything to add. Something could have come up to you while we were talking about other stuff.
No, I'm good.
You sure you don't have any notes?
No, I don't have any more notes.
All right, well, I guess there's nothing left to do but to hop on into it.
But before we get started,
Make sure that you hit the like button.
Hit that subscribe button.
Comment down below to feed that algorithm.
on top of all that, if you want to watch more shows like this,
Unfiltered.
Uncensored.
And uncut.
as well as some early access stuff,
You can check it out over on the Patreon.
It's just $5 a month, but hey, no pressure.
There's zero pressure in order to do that. It's just a little bit of extra support, and it would be greatly appreciated.
Yeah, I really got to catch up on my video editing. Because I'm still editing videos from my last live stream. I am just behind. Because, well, I think how many things do I still have left from our stuff to get to? Should be everything from, 3 episodes of Delta I still have to edit from us. And War in the Pocket. And, of course, Kokoro Connect. Well, it's easier, faster. Well, it's faster for me typically to edit the stuff that I do solo. Because when it comes to, like, audio balancing, I just gotta get my thing. And I also record the audio of my solo reactions in the same line. So I don't have to, like, do a specific video edit, like, what do you call it? Admux?
You don't have to normalize audio to different bands, etc.
No, Avidmux. Avidmux. I don't know how you pronounce it. I don't have to recombine the video back together in a way that allows me to get the audio track in a very specific way that I edit with.
Yeah, the audio of the intro was pretty high, and then I lowered it, and then the audio of the episode was pretty low. So,
I always have it pretty low. That way, when I'm talking, it doesn't record my TV picking back into me. The same way that I have to keep the headset volume just a little bit lower because I'm just going deaf enough that if I turn you up, it turns you up to a degree that the microphone picks you up through the headset somehow.
Mission accomplished.
Based on what? Based on what, C3PO?
He just calculated in his own head.
Now for the episode I keep saying was going to be next episode.
Yeah, I forgot that he was named as a lightning count.
I brought it up in one of the previous notes. It's just a better nickname than Red Comet to me.
Yeah.
No, I was laughing because Obbs' objective isn't to rule. We just do. You know, so I was... They're saying they're carrying some sort of geese? A tall one?
Yeah. A goose. It should be a goose, not a geese. This is just one.
Yeah, but I don't think the dumber people would understand what I was talking about.
I know.
Liver damage. I've been drinking on the job. I gotta say, though, seeing the tall geese now, It looks a little less good now that I know it just has a Leo head under the thing.
Yeah. Ah, that's what happened to him.
Well, I mean, you know what happened to him based on what's going to happen to him by the end of the episode. Also, I never noticed the Oz people have Oz on their belt buckles.
Easy to identify them. Unless they're infiltrating somewhere.
Yeah, perfect for snipers. Perfect for snipers going for dick shots. So I also always just remember people with big heads being nicknamed Sniper's Dream.
Also, that carry must be huge if the tall geese, which is much bigger than many standard mobile suits, is standing like that inside the carrier.
We know, Noin. We know. Reminder, the last time we saw him, he was screaming, "I failed!"
Yeah.
They're so good, they almost lost a basketball game. Meanwhile,
school,
at
I guess.
Alcatraz,
Yeah.
it's also natural for kids like us to not have parents, I guess.
Yeah. And very, very long hair, too. Like that. That would have provided most skills.
I'll be honest, if I could have long hair, I probably would. This just gets thicker. That's all it does. I wish I would pan over and be like two guys like, yeah, and that's when I said, well, I'll take the kids today. You've been working too hard. It's just first to destroy the fortress wins.
Yeah. And I guess he found them.
I don't even go to this school. Oh, I guess to be fair, last school got kind of destroyed, so it might be transferring. But also, like, everybody in the background acting like she's the same person from the same school.
Oh, is it? I thought that guy was dead. No, he's still alive.
No, this isn't Diego. This is the guy from the command center that was originally getting told about everything that was happening.
Yeah.
Oh, it's interesting to think that this guy was controlling or getting informed about Operation Daybreak from the Sanct Kingdom.
Yeah.
It's not a horrible goal.
But this is where, having seen the series, you know.
Yeah, but I mean, from the point of standing where we're at without like leaping into the future, because I don't actually remember the goals of anything. I remember what happens. How? How are you going to back me up when you know the tall geese goes 3 times as fast as you do? We moved to a smaller carrier.
Apparently, yeah.
Maximum? Would you say maximum effort? Legit, we know eventually this thing goes so fast that the G's break his helmet.
Yeah.
You know, if it breaks your
Yes.
middle ass helmet, you figure your skull would be shattered. Not the laser beams.
At point blank range.
Could have fired at them any point now. You know, including the one which we're talking.
Yeah.
And the element that throws me is that even though the laser beams, they look like they're firing bullets to me.
Yeah. Also, they're standing there. These are supposed to be laser beams, so they should have hit them like dozens of times already.
Conceivably, we shouldn't even see them firing.
Yeah.
I do wonder how interesting it would be to watch an accurate thing like that, where people are just fucking like holes or they're catching on fire randomly.
Yeah.
People are exploding. Someone's got a laser beam. Gurren will have a solution for that.
Magnetic coating.
No, I said Gurren. That's Mos Khan. Gurren's solution would be better than a human being. You know, with the incredible bone structures you get from being in zero-G environments your whole life. In what chair, Trace? In what chair?
Oh, and the other one. There's another chair there.
Across the room? Would you kindly join me by sitting as far away from me as you possibly could?
You peasant.
それでオズは嫌われる。世界の標的になれるということだ。トレーズ様。嫌われ者は強くなくてはならない。オズにとっても良い励みになるな。
What? I mean, I guess it's motivation to defend him. Are they standing in line to talk him down? I guess they are. Like, then I'm going to tell you something else.
Now they start slapping him and hitting him with stuff like airplanes.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about. Oh, we have a name for him, Captain Rashid.
I'm pretty sure we've heard the name before. That's the thing I was coming up with the board where I was like, oh, I see a guy who I probably should have named already. Do you think his father named his kids after the order that they came out in?
Maybe. Skip a couple of numbers, though.
Did he? No, I'm saying.
Oh, well,
there is
pilots,
a 1,
yeah.
2, and no, that's a 1, 2, and 3 son.
Yeah.
彼らは過激で危険だけどいい人たちなんだ。
なぜそんなことがわかるのですか？
僕にはわかる。宇宙の心が教えてくれる。
The soul of outer space. That's a good question.
宇宙の心が。
Oh, okay. Sure. That's a thing. Oh, they have dinosaurs here as well? Shit.
もうあんたたちったらそんなに黙り込んでて楽しいの？もう2時間は経つわよ。
何か用か？
ご挨拶ね。お腹が空いてるだろう。
A new shirt. That's what I want. A new shirt.
仲良いうちにどうぞ。
Of course, Wifei, who is a misogynist, doesn't even acknowledge her.
ちゃんと食べなさいね。でも後片付けはお願いね。小さい時からしつけはしっかりしなきゃ。じゃあ。無口な子には無口な友達ができるのね。
うまくはないかもしれないが、俺にはナタクに乗る資格がない。そうか。シェイジ。
Well, at least he admits his failure.
To the only guy who'll never tell anybody.
不整脈はだいぶ収まりました。ですが、循環器系がかなり異常をきたしています。
よくぞ生還したというところか。
ゼクス、一体どうしたのですか？
あのトールギスを甘く見ていたよ。乗り手のことなど完璧に無視している。正当な近代兵器論を全く相手にしないずうずうしい設計なのだ。
乗り手を考
Because that's the way prototypes work.
考えうるすべての戦
Well, in Gundam they do. We've already had this conversation.
でも完璧に勝利できる性能を与えられたもの。そう私なりに考えた。私は臆病になった。あのモビルスーツの性能を発揮させようとすればするほど自分を追い込んでいってしまう。ゼクスよ、お前の力はそこまでかとな。戦闘用モビルスーツではなく決闘用と言うべきか。乗り手の潔さがあって初めてその性能を。
Why the hell would you make a suit for dueling?
乗り手の潔さ。
Yeah, this is not GQX, right? Not clan battle here.
No, I just mean that this thing would have been made back when we had nations fighting nations.
無茶です。
Before the Earth Alliance was formed.
私が行きます。あなたはここで待っていてください。
そうはいかない。
トールギスに乗らないのであれば許可します。
ノイン。トールギスは
We're exactly the same rank. How dare you tell me what to do?
ガンダムと同じはずだ。
ガンダム？
前に話した通り、すべてのモビルスーツの原型となったトールギスの無謀な設計はガンダムが受け継いでいる。だから私は乗りこなさなくてはならない。ガンダムを。
It's also another reason why Zex is just better. He had to work his way to getting to fighting on their level. Well, technically, he was skilled enough to defeat Hero and Leo, but then had to work his way up to being able to fight in a suit on their level.
ここは私の言うことを聞いてもらいます。
明日夕刻に出撃する。
は、了解しました。
Or
Hell of a
not,
climb.
the case may be. Yeah.
And that's when he killed Zex. The Afterblast. 8th MS team.
Yeah.
Well, we saw it was parked right next to this little tent, so.
We should have just wiped out the whole place.
Can't hear you. Gravity. Too high.
私はトールギスの力をよく知っていますから。やめろ、死ぬぞ。ゼクス得意のためならそれでも構いません。あなたの夢に私も協力させてください。オズのためではなくあなたのために働きたいのです。おっと、命と交換で勝利を得てまいります。おっと、何を言っている。引き返せ、おっと。
Yeah, the guy starts saluting, like, yeah, he's dead. Might as well salute him already.
I mean, we know.
Yeah.
We know what he's up to.
お父様驚いて。でも私どうしてもヒーローに会いたかったの。この気持ちお父様お分かりになる？悲しみが癒されるまでヒーローは私を支えなくてはいけないのよ。
How old is she again?
He fell to the ground in a shockwave, but the glass didn't shatter, right?
Well, I mean, she could have fallen by surprise. You know, bright giant light and the ground shakes. He's like, God, fuck, get away from the windows.
Yeah, but you don't have Hero's, the Wing's main cannon, though.
Yeah, but again, his sight's benefit is that it cuts through anything, including other Gundams.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you were just targeting the tower. So that was incredibly bad aim.
No, I think what he was doing.
I'd also argue
black-
that it's not a great gun that you have to get that close.
Yeah.
They target this thing with my ranged weapon. Not let me get like 5 feet away from it first.
邪魔をするならそんなに長くは持たないからな。
Wait, Talkies is supposed to be really fast, right?
Yeah.
Then why was it nighttime when you left?
急いでくれ。
How far away were you camping?
通る傷を扱えている。
Yeah. They said they were right next to the kingdom, but I guess not.
急速接近してきます。全ビーム包囲。それ
I guess near is relatively speaking, right?
No, they were actually in near Australia.
Yeah.
敵走。万歳。
King Sax is my nickname for people with speech impediments.
おっと。
You just destroyed my mobile suit, you asshole. From a distance, right? Because of the explosion.
Yeah. So Odo also knew about who he really was, or who Sex was.
Ah, Father Santa Claus. I'm wearing your jacket.
再びこの地に立つまで13年もかかってしまいました。お許しください、父上。そしてそのために多くの血が流れました。私は完全平和主義のあなたの教えに背く生き方しかできませんでした。私の手は血に汚れすぎている。そんな私がピースクラフト王家を継ぐわけにはいかない。
Then, like I said, the baby.
Yeah.
Well, couldn't have been. Well, they could have taken the picture and then grown up a little bit. And that's when he got shot in the head.
攻撃されたんだって。
God forbid an accident ever happens. You know, the colonies did it.
今日もいい天気だね。じゃあ俺たち授業があるから。
もう少しだけ一緒にいさせて。
You're literally stalking him.
強くなれそう。
Yeah. He didn't ask permission to show up here and talk to him, right? It's like,
I mean,
that just look a bit creepy with him. I'm like,
the point is that she's the creepy one now. I mean, regardless of your point there about looking creepy in a picture,
Yeah.
She's the creepy one now.
Yeah, she's the one stalking him.
It's also weird that he's following Duo.
Hmm.
And I don't mean like going to the same places and everything. I mean legitimately the element that they're going to school together and Duo's walking ahead and Hero's not like going on his own path or something. He's just following Duo.
Mm-hmm. I think it's supposed to be part of the fact that his confidence has been shaken, so he's not. He's like, okay, I guess I'll go along, fine, kind of situation. My take on it could be completely wrong.
Also, I guess every Gundam needs a little basketball.
I guess so,
Or
yeah.
some. Well, you know, we get the scene of Char playing basketball in Origin.
Yeah.
Now we got basketball here. I mean, obviously, there's been a bunch of Gundams without basketball. I guess Gundam Timelines having basketball?
Guess so.
Ah.
Was that a secret door in his
No,
own
somebody
dorm
opened the
room?
door behind him. Shadow of a door.
Yeah. But it looked like it was the floor
No,
was
I know.
opening,
I
right?
thought the same thing. Then I realized that would be stupid, and that's not what it was.
Yeah, that's the one.
We are one to... No, never mind. That happens way later. Someone's getting slapped, I think, next episode, but not this. Not the slap that I'm anticipating. There's the slap that happens to a character I like, and then there's a reciprocal slap that comes much later down the way. I think we're about to get the bad one. But also, I think we're about to get my guy in one of his better fighting scenes. Well, you know, there's the element that your guy has no good fighting scenes. See? Strong defense. That's how you can tell I'm right. There's like, oh no, there will be. No, so, I don't like Buffet because he can fight, clearly.
I mean, he can. He couldn't beat up Sex. If he was smarter about it, he would just kill him. That's it. But
yeah. Oh, so you admit Buffet would lose to Zex?
No, to Trace. Well, he lost to Trace, so
I would argue he would lose to Zex too.
And that's what I'm saying. That if he loses to Trace, he would lose to Sex.
For argument's sake, I think the show would. I don't think it's spoiler territory to say this, considering there's a whole opening and ending around it. That the argument is who's better, Zex or Trace, is one of the defining characteristics of the show, which is to say that they must be on equal footing. So in that aspect, yes, if Buffet loses to Trace, he would lose to Zex.
And also, Sex and Hero are the two duelists, right? They're always.
I would argue that you have, what, 7 main characters?
7 main characters, what? Sorry, you said 7 main characters? What?
Yes.
Yes, you said it. Why did you say it?
That was I even put an inflection on it. I don't know what your confusion lies. I said there's, what, 7 main characters? That's where the question mark goes.
The thing is, like...
It's an interrogative statement. It requires...
It's an ensemble. It's a team. Ultimately, well, depending what happens later. But Hero is the not the leader of the team, but he's supposed to be the focus character most of the time.
But he's not, because we focus on all of the characters.
But he's the one that has.
I would also argue that Trace and Zex are main characters.
Well, I would say Hero is the main protagonist, and Trace, and at least to this point, and Sex are antagonists.
I said main characters. You're putting them into boxes. I'm not separating the boxes. I'm saying here's the characters, putting them in the main character box.
I don't think they're all the same standing, though.
I would say if we could probably analyze how much time the camera spends on each character, and that those would be the main ones, that you could divide them out almost equally. Except for maybe Buffet and Troa. Well, no, because Troa had an episode, Buffet had an episode.
I mean, all of them had an episode. No,
that's my point.
Cartwright didn't have an episode to himself, though.
Kind of did. Well, he had the equivalent of an episode in all the scenes that he's gotten across everything. And Zex gets almost as much screen time as Hero does, and I'd argue that Hero gets almost as screen time as mostly as much screen time as Duo does. And Trace is getting increasingly more screen time. So I'm saying I think they're all the main characters.
I think that the narrative still is...
And Relina, sorry,
8. Positioned mainly around the trio of Hero, Relina, and Sex.
And I'm arguing that we spend a lot of time on the individual characters outside of that. So the thing that the show is showing us isn't always connected to Relina, Hero, and Zex, implying that those characters have enough weight to also be carrying. I'm saying that this is our Durarara in Gundam. That everyone has their own important story, and they don't mix as much as they do in Durarara, but we do spend time on an ensemble more than we do on individuals.
I think it's more like a pyramid, right? They're all in the same situation, but I think it starts, Hero at the top with Sex and Relina second, and then Trace, maybe Catre or Duo, and so on. And they're going down the line.
I think the only reason that you think that is because it was Hero and Relina heavy early on, with a little bit of Zex. And now the further we go in, the less Hero and Relina we get, and the more we focus on, say, Zex and Trace. And then individual members of Operation Meteor. I think you are acting with, I don't think there's an opposite of recency bias. You're acting with first contact bias.
Well, okay, even in scenes where, for example, it's supposed to be a sex scene, for example.
Certainly was.
Relina comes up like, oh, for example, when he is in front of a picture of his father, so, oh, I can't rule the kingdom, whatever. But hey, my little sister could, right?
That's an implication, though. That is not directly. He doesn't call her out, and then we transition to a scene of Relina. That is a sex scene with the implication that Relina is her. Like, obviously, I think this is a Gundam show made for 10-year-olds. Like, you're not supposed to figure it out because you're not supposed to be as dumb as a 10-year-old. And to be fair, when I was watching the show, well, one, I was already older than a 10-year-old, but when I was watching the show originally, I wasn't trying to piece things together. I didn't watch media that way. So, for me, it's like, oh, okay, cool. Damn, that guy's dead. I think I remember him. I missed yesterday's episode, though, so I can't be sure.
On the reruns. Yeah. So that was this episode of Gundam Wing.
Okay, I was expecting a retort from you or something based on the back and forth we had going, so. Well, I mean, my final word on that, then. So I can't remember that thing you say after every note when you have to re-explain it on your own for some reason. I keep bringing it up and I laugh every time you do it because you do it every time. But for me, it is an element of, again, I guess first contact bias is the only thing I can think to call it. That the element of the show started a specific way, so every time you can think back to who are the characters that we spend the most time with, you think back to the characters that you remember spending the most time with, but might not actually be true anymore. Like thinking back, how much time did we spend with Hero in the last 2 episodes? Not the majority of the screen time.
True. But then again...
And every episode plays out that way, where we separate ourselves into different groups of characters that we didn't do before. But then again, when we first start the show, Hero is our first contact character, so we focus a lot on Hero. Hero interacts with Relina, so Relina gets a lot of that screen time. I would say, like, first couple episodes, maybe 50-50, right? But then we're like, Relina was in, like, 5% of today's episode, same as Hero. Duo got another 5% on his own, because he's actually leading the whole Hero aspect of that narrative right now. And then a lot of this was Zex. And then previous episode, a lot of it was Trey's. So it's just like, we're dividing it up now that we've decided who the characters the viewers want, or will not want to, should be following. So that's what I'm saying. I think it's more of an ensemble than it is a I forgot the word. Well, you know, if it's like a 2 main character show, it'd be a duo.
Not a duopoly. Yeah.
No, it's not opoly. It's I can't remember the back half of the word. Antagonist. A duotagonist situation. And in this situation, we're dealing with an ensemble of protagonists.
It's yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Well, you're looking up still specifically 2, and I'm looking for like 8. And I don't octagonists. We have a show with an octagonist. Whatever.
Yeah, but this is an ensemble, basically. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, but my ensemble is like 8 people large, so that's what I'm saying. An
once you get to 2 or more,
octagonist.
An ensemble covers it.
It does, but there is still specifically another word, just because, you know, we take the duo. No, that's not even that anymore. Anyway, that's not based on the... Anyway. Once again, I have been Theta. This has been Lessons Father. We will catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another Stone-Faced Reactions. If you have an idea of another video we could go ahead and watch, go ahead and put it in the comments down below and we'll add it to the wheel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe and let us know what you thought about this video, what parts you liked. And until then, we'll see you next time. Is this too goofy?